Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
The icy wind cuts as you plummet from the Ravager towards the snow-covered landscape of Lumaton below. You are 850 feet in the air and falling fast.
Vander takes a look around and kind of mentally marks the city and then casts Featherfall on himself and the rest of the group.
And your descent slows, so that as you breach the canopy of trees, you do so gently and land in the soft snow, which goes up to your knees.
Oh, man, I didn't like that. It was horrible.
Nonsense, Augustus. That was a perfect landing,
Vander says, adjusting himself in the snow.
Augustus is lying in the snow, so you can't see him at all. He's sunk entirely into the snow like a snow angel, but he hasn't wiggled his arms and legs. So he's just breathing in his little igloo of despair.
Augustus, this is not the first time you have fallen from an airship, correct?
That is correct, Tock, but it's one of those things that just never gets easier.
Nothing wrong with a tactical landing. Well, I suppose we are still in grave danger. Or whatever came through the portal may well choose to follow, so make haste we must.
Possibly, Vander. Should we not perhaps stay under the canopy? They do well to find us here. Augustus kind of looks up through the canopy of trees, thinking, would anyone up in the sky be able to see them here?
We are well covered, yes, but there are certain spells that might make that easier to work out our location, so in the trees we must stay, but move we must also do.
Very well, Vander. You had me at spells.
Vander, during the descent, did you observe any settlements?
I did, Tock. A vast settlement to the northeast. Many days' travel, though, particularly on my legs.
So Tock will offer a piggyback to Vander.
I thought you would never ask.
And Vander joyfully clambers up on Tock.
Here we go again, then, says Augustus. Which way was it, Vander?
Northeast.
Which way is northeast from here? I was thinking more of a point.
Vander points at one of the trees.
Thank you, my good man. Augustus walks in the direction of that tree, goes around it, because he's a good navigator, and says, "Gentlemen, I know Frost Hollow a little. Follow me, and I will show you its delights." And then under his breath he says, "They are few."
Interesting,
says Vander, picking up every word.
As they trudge through the snow, Augustus says to Vander, "Vander, is there a possibility that the captain or admiral or whatever of the Ravager up above is now a dragon?"
Vander considers.
Possible, Augustus, but of course, if he is a dragon, I don't imagine the Ravager will be an airship much longer.
Very well. That sounds better than leaving the Emperor in charge, I suppose.
Indeed, though I do suspect the Emperor was the victor.
What makes you think that, Vander? I was surprised. I thought he was almost certainly going to his death when he fought that creature. I was sure we were seconds away from being scorched.
His knowledge of the location to plane shift to. The dragon would not know our location aboard the Ravager.
Indeed, and the Emperor has amassed a great power to him, both in himself, of course, and in his followers.
I see, Vander. I'd rather thought when we stood before him, we could pop his head off. That would be the job done.
An intriguing idea, Augustus. I suspect the reality would be a little different.
Very well. With a sigh and a jaunty whistle, Augustus continues down the slope to his former haunt of Frost Hollow.
Such a prick.
Of that.
Welcome one and all to Dice Company Small Embers Chapter 55, where a group of friends weave tales of triumph, heroism and despair under the guise of playing Dungeons and Dragons. My name is Tom and I'll be your DM through the continuing adventures of the Order of the Heron and their dragon-dodging escape artists. Dragon-dodging escape artists, please introduce yourselves and tell us one fun fact about your characters.
Hi, my name is Charlie and I play Vander Finnick. After the torture that Vander has endured, intimidation feels like nothing more than awkward small talk. But the red dragon, well, that rattled him. While falling from the Ravager, Vander has replayed the encounter in his mind, and it's not the dragon's power that haunts him. It's the fact that Augustus would have died for him without a second's thought. That someone cares enough to make that sacrifice terrifies Vander because he is the unlikable, unkillable nightmare that saves his own life. And now that's changed.
Very nice.
I like
I'm
that.
moved. Augustus is moved.
Kind of threw me through a loop, to be honest. I'm used to it just being absolutely disgusting or funny. And that was...
The dice directed that because obviously the dragon did scare Vander.
Yeah.
So I now need to explain that in a way that Vander's not scared. So don't worry, it's disgusting in its own way.
I hate it. I'm out. I'm all the way out.
It's difficult though, isn't it? When a spell says, you're now scared, and you think, what? And it's kind of like apropos of nothing. You have to,
Yeah, your character changes.
In fairness, it was a gigantic dragon roaring at him. Like, there were reasons to be
I can't
scared.
die, Dom. I can't
my
die.
God.
So why would I be scared?
Oh my God. So angry.
What are you going to do with that, oh mighty smiter?
Nothing. He's powerless to affect Vander. Just you watch. He can't do anything.
I don't believe he will kill it. I think we'll kill us.
Yeah. As always, it won't be me. I will just passively be sitting here watching you guys kill yourselves. Just the way I like it.
By the end of this chapter, all three of us will be just frozen in a block of ice.
By the end of The Shining.
Hi, I'm Harry, and I play Tock, an imposing 6'8" automaton. So Tock's kind of relieved that he and Vander managed to rescue Augustus from his misadventure through the planar rift. But now Tock's quite keen to return to the main party aboard the Sterling, Bardor and Benny. He believes the fastest route will be to revive Squirrel, the 6th Rojan. If they can make our escape and avoid a confrontation with the Emperor, then there's probably still powerful magic to be found in the old continent. Luckily, we successfully left no clue as to our identity or likely escape route.
Okay, I'm picking up a number of things from this. Firstly, you don't agree with the message that we left. I see that.
We're a team. We left a message.
Yeah, we did leave a message signed by everyone. That's fine. And the second thing is, I appreciate we don't do enough planning. So I like the fact you've crammed our plan into your fun fact.
It's the only way to be sure.
I mean, I have a different plan.
I'm 100% sure that it's not what will actually end up happening. But at least it's there.
There was many things I didn't like about that drunken, rambling speech. But the part I particularly objected to was the words main party to refer to Bardel and Benny. Those guys are side characters.
They report to Sterling leading the resistance.
I have no idea what they're doing. They're not leading anything. Benny's probably making up more weepy poetry while Bardel
Eat slugs.
demonstrates how to plex, how to woo women.
Do you know, it's really annoying because I was totally on your side, but I agree with those activities, so that's hard. But wait, though, I mean, how are we not the head of the resistance? We just fed the Empire to a red dragon. That's pretty resistance-y.
No one knows that.
We are
though.
the pièce de résistance.
I mean, the people who teleported into the Ravager know it.
Exactly. Yeah. That makes our mission to tell people, right?
Exactly. We're spreading the word. Not many people think of trying to use propaganda against the actual leader of their enemies. A leaflet drop.
Actually, it kind of
enemy
invites him
HQ.
to join the Order of the Heron, doesn't it? When I think about it, it's a weird line
I think
to take with
that
him.
scared little guy who served us the drinks might now be on our side.
He picked up the note.
Yeah. He's going to be the new Joe the Piper.
Ah, Joe.
Joe! How's Joe doing, I wonder, in his therapy sessions? Hi, I'm Alex, and I play Augustus Zeno. And as we're back in the frozen north where Augustus went to school, I thought it was time to correct the record about his school, because I may have given, very accidentally, the impression that his school was a rather brutal place. Or actually, it was a lot of fun. That's the end of the fact. No.
I don't buy it.
So Despite the almost unremitting horror of his school experience, there were some nice things. For example, Augustus's housemaster once caught Augustus with a pet, which he allowed Augustus to keep. Strangely, though, given current events, that pet was a chinchilla. And stranger still, its name was Stephen.
Oh, the weirdest reverse foreshadowing ever created, I think.
Who would have thought a chinchilla called Stephen would have had so much play within this fictional world?
Oh my God. The adventures of Stephen the chinchilla are only just beginning.
Whatever happened to Stephen?
I think he became the emperor.
Is he still on the Sterling? Oh, yeah.
Stephen is chinchilla for Salazar.
He was left in a box on the Sterling.
You know what's worrying about this is we're forgetting that he's not actually a chinchilla. At some point, we're going to accept him for his new form, and then he's going to become the wild magic wielding. I think he might be the Red Wizard as well. I think we've had mention of this, and I think he's the Red Wizard, and he's gone mad. And I mean, we just met a red dragon. Red seems to be a danger color.
And now I think about it, didn't we meet a mad Red Wizard somewhere in our previous questing?
The fuck did we forget that? Did we?
We did, didn't we?
And why are you reminding us of this? What's happening?
This is amazing. Alex is switched on. He knows what's going on. Come on.
Was it?
I'm so happy.
No, come on then, Memento. What's the rest of it?
In fact, we went into a jail cell, and there was a kind of babbling lunatic who thought he was a powerful wizard, but didn't seem to be able to do anything.
Oh my God.
And we thought he was just, mad and had forgotten himself. And now I'm thinking he was really a wizard, perhaps
that was the first
with some sort of
quest.
magic malfunction caused by his incarceration. Have a bit of that. Where were we then? What was that?
Would you like me to tell you where you were?
Yes.
You were in Frost Hollow in Lumatorn.
Holy shit.
In Hollow Cliff Sanatorium.
Oh, yeah.
Where we met the little girl that pulled Dion the Pap's face off.
Correct.
Oh, well, let's not fucking go there then.
It's okay, you got a new one.
And remember, they cannot be seen because they creep only in the dark. So let's turn the page on the next chapter of Dice Company. Previously on Dice Company, having entered the tear in reality to follow Morven and look for Aurora, you encountered an adult red dragon called Cinderim and were forced to retreat, using a gate spell to swap places with Emperor Salazar. Suddenly alone aboard the Ravager, you stole the crown of Cantioch, and as a portal began to open, you leapt from the window of the throne room down towards the snowy environment below. You found yourself in the northern realm of Cantioch, Lumatorn, and with night descending upon you, you head in a northeasterly direction towards the capital city of Frost Hollow. As you move through the wilderness, the biting winds freezing your extremities, you see ahead of you a small structure. Deep in the forest, obscured by a large number of trees, is a log cabin. Hanging outside are a collection of herbs and flowers bundled together and dried. Their colours appear to be sapped. Outside, parked, is a red and gold, enclosed travelling wagon, covered in carvings and designs. A sweet smell fills the area, and a stone chimney belches out fumes. There is someone, or something, in the cabin. What would you like to do?
Witchcraft,
Says Vander.
What makes you say that, Vander? It's like a harmless cabin in the woods.
Well, Augustus, many of the darker fairy tales I was told as a boy referred to just such a situation.
So you're saying we should split up and wait for nightfall?
Actually, not as different as you might imagine. I believe that stealth is required, and now we are short our burglar. We may, of course, need to select another for the honor.
Augustus, his eyes slowly fall on Tock.
I will attempt stealth.
Says Vander.
I'll go.
Vander, you must be our stealthiest remaining member. Perhaps Tock and I could linger at a safe distance, and you could pose as a humble traveller. See what's cooking in the pot.
This is an outrage.
We might get some soup.
Indeed. Who is our stealthiest party member?
It is Vander, isn't it?
What's your bonus to stealth?
Well, I mean, it's that I don't have a debuff for stealth. So I have...
Well, I'm wearing heavy armor, so I have to... Mine's stealth automatically at disadvantage.
And Tock is heavy armor, so...
I think Tock's going to tell us that he's as light as a feather. He walks on the snow like Legolas.
I'm an elf!
I'm a +1 for stealth.
Tock has a +2 and no disadvantage. Tock is the stealthiest.
Oh my god! You should be ashamed, the rest of you.
In fact, Tock hasn't made much clanking, as he typically does, since the Sterling crashed, actually.
I'd actually like to add that not only am I automatically at disadvantage, but I also have a -1 modifier.
I want to point out as well, innocent comments from Tock like that, never unpack them.
And yet you do every time.
Yeah, no, I've learned my lesson this time. No, good for you, Tock. You carry on, buddy.
What are we actually doing, though? Are we going to go in and try and observe who's inside this hut?
You are?
Right, well, yeah, Tock will creep forward. He's also going to guide himself.
With...
Well, I mean, he's walked around in the snow an awful lot before, so he knows not to step on it like Legolas, thus crashing through and hitting the ground like a hammer. So trying to walk around like he's not made of hammers, that's mainly his guiding.
Solid. Can I have a stealth check, please, Tock?
A roll of 14.
Tock, as you approach the front door, you notice that it is ajar. There is warmth coming from inside, and through the gap you can see that there is an old woman sat by a table. She's currently shuffling cards. Behind her is a roaring fire with a small pewter cauldron, which has something bubbling away in it.
Tock will... got no way of messaging everyone, have I?
Just to be clear, are we just looking at a robot looking
Into
the window?
What do you think he's seen, Augustus?
I don't know, Vander, but watching an automaton watch someone through a window feels like a message about life that I can't quite unpick.
Indeed.
Maybe we're all the robots, or none of us are, or we're all whoever's inside.
I swore I cast Featherfall at the right moment, but now I believe you may have hit your head.
Maybe you should have waited a little longer, Vander.
Okay, Tock is going to rummage briefly in his bag, turn around, and Vander, you hear a voice in your head, much like Vander projects his voice into people's heads, and Tock, in his own voice, relays the contents of the room. The room contains an old woman by a roaring fire. She is shuffling cards. There is a pewter cookpot.
Vander responds in Tock's head.
Most definitely a witch. Stand fast, Tock. I'm coming.
And Vander breaks cover and begins to shuffle quietly towards the cabin.
What's going on, Vander? Says Augustus, who hasn't heard any of this.
Augustus, we are in the presence of a witch. Guile is our key weapon now.
It's running away, not our key weapon.
I'm afraid we need that card.
I do rather like a card.
Then quietly does it.
And Vander continues to shuffle towards the cabin.
I'd just like to point out that I just saw the DM with a deck of cards.
Yeah. It wasn't a deck of many things as far as I could see, but yeah.
Okay.
A deck of actual cards. Tock is going to guide Vander by holding up a hand and observing the old lady. And if she kind of seems to hear anything, he's going to do the classic, hold up his hand, say halt.
Nice. Give me a stealth check at advantage and add guidance as well. I like that.
And that's an 11 for Vander.
I mean, that might spare Augustus clearly failing the stealth check. Oh, the emerald's a natural 20.
As you slowly approach Tock, the old woman gives no signs that she's heard anything. And yet, with you still shuffling closer towards Tock, you hear, Travers, excellent. Come in.
I find that to be acceptable. And Tock will gesture behind him and then open the door.
Augustus clanks along through Vander's channel in the snow and mutters, "How's the sneaking going, boys?"
It settled one question, Augustus. Most definitely a witch.
Wonderful.
And Vander follows Tock.
As the two humans join the automaton in entering the hut, You're both overwhelmed with warmth and the sweet smell of something cooking in the pewter cauldron. The woman herself you would put in her probably late 60s, early 70s. She's human, as far as you can tell. And she's wearing a flowing skirt with a loose burnt orange top and has a scarf wrapped around her head with various small golden trinkets hanging from it. She looks up at your appearance and smiles while continuing to lay out cards on the table. She has laid out 5 cards in a cross. She starts suddenly when she sees Tock.
Oh, what is this? I've not seen one of these before. Where are you from?
Greetings. I am an automaton. I am from the forest of Lanosil.
Oh, in the new continent. How exciting. Would you like some food? I've got some soup on the go and I've baked a fresh pie.
Soup,
says Vander, entering the room.
Madam, I must confess this cabin was a most welcome sight on a cold night such as this.
Of course. You are so far from any form of civilization.
And she pours some soup into a wooden bowl, adds a wooden spoon and hands it to you.
Most generous,
Says Vander, eyeing the soup. I would like to check if that is something... I want to do an Arcana check, if I may.
You can absolutely do an Arcana check on the soup.
Okay, 16 for Arcana.
There is no trace of magic in the soup whatsoever. There is, however, general power from the weave of magic in this vicinity, but it's not coming from the food.
Can I detect anything about the magic, wild magic, say, or something more directed?
No, definitely controlled magic. It doesn't feel evil. It just feels like that this woman is probably a magic user, but you can't really gauge much more than that.
This is a special place indeed, madam,
says Vander, sensing the magic.
How is it that you come to live in such a secluded spot?
I am a fortune teller by trade. I can pierce the veil and foresee what is to come. You, however, all seem far too intelligent to need someone like me to tell you the future. But people in these parts, they don't trust magic. Not really. So I decided to move myself far away from their watchful stares. Better that than being chased through a town by an angry mob with pitchforks and burning torches.
Indeed. I observed a rather fine cart outside as well. I wonder if there is a future in that.
Well, that is where I normally do my readings. There are all sorts of small settlements across the West Lumaton forest.
Ah, that explains things nicely. So...
And Vander at this point takes a slurp of the soup. He can't resist anymore. He's going for it. He's hungry. He's battered from his various experiences, and he's just going to take a slurp.
Okay, it's thick, probably some combination of root vegetables, very well seasoned. So the flavour is like a punch in the face. It's delicious, really tasty, and very warming.
Vander sucks his toothless gums in a pucker of delight.
Most fine. You are quite the cook, if I may say.
Thank you most kindly. It fills me with much joy to see people enjoying my food. And what about you?
And she looks at Augustus.
And perhaps some pie for one so big and strong. It is a simple one, meat and vegetables.
And she points towards a freshly baked and steaming hot pie by the hearth.
Wonderful. Thank you, madam. I'd be delighted.
She slices you off a piece onto a wooden plate and hands it to you.
And you, automaton.
And she gives you a nod of recognition.
Do you eat?
Technically, I draw sustenance from the weave of magic.
Is that right? How very interesting. Tell me, would you be interested in having your fortune read? I've not done a reading for one such as yourself before.
I would find that to be acceptable. I have met 2 fortune tellers on our travels.
And were they correct in what they saw?
Inconclusive. Insufficient time has passed.
Well, let's see if I can be a bit more accurate on the competition, shall we? Gentlemen, please, make yourself comfortable while you eat. Master Automaton, have a seat at the table.
Vander slumps into a chair by the fire.
Augustus likewise.
Augustus, the pie, by the way, is absolutely sublime. The meat is perfectly cooked. You can't quite tell what kind of meat it is because of the incredible seasoning. But there is a layer of vegetables at the bottom, and the pastry is fluffy and crispy and lovely.
Madam, this food is wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So she shows you the cross pattern, and she begins to turn the cards one at a time.
This card tells of history. Knowledge of the ancient will help you better understand your future enemies.
She turns over the card, and it reads, Guild Member, with a dwarven figure dressed in finery.
I see a dark room full of bottles. It is the tomb of a guild member. That is where you will find knowledge which will help you better understand your enemy.
And then she turns over the card at the top of the cross, which reads Druid, and has a picture of a large shadowy figure clutching a staff, stood by the entrance of a cave.
This card tells of a powerful force for good and protection, a holy symbol of great hope. Evil grows beneath a hill of graves where the ancient dead sleep. The raven can help you find it. Look for treasure and help there.
Next, she turns over the card on the right.
This is a card of power and strength. It tells of a weapon of vengeance, a sword of darkness.
She turns over the third card, revealing the mercenary, with artwork showing a hooded figure clutching a sword in one hand and a coin purse in the other.
The thing you seek lies with the dead, under the great mountain, surrounded by gold coins.
She then turns the bottom card, revealing the raven.
The raven represents someone who could help you in this fight, but they are flighty and lost. Your enemy is a creature of darkness, whose powers are beyond mortality. This card will help lead you to him.
Finally, she turns over the central card, revealing the ghost.
This is your enemy. He moves like shadow, a ghost in the wilderness. It will be difficult to find him. Well, it is a tricky art reading the cards. I hope I have given you something which could be useful in your travels ahead.
Yes, the pie is magnificent.
Another slice?
Yes, please.
She slices off an even bigger piece of the pie and hands it to you.
I hope you're as good at fortune-telling as you are at making pies, madam.
You are too kind. Do you gentlemen need a place to rest? It is dark out there, treacherous and full of unseen terrors.
That would be most agreeable. But tell me, do you find the term witch to be a vulgar phrase? Or something to describe a talented individual?
Oh, I have been called worse, but it is an inaccurate phrase. I am a simple traveller. My magics are an innate ability. They were not gifted to me by some dark shadow.
You have given me, madam, more than the question asked for, and as such I would be delighted to accept your offer.
I think Augustus will... I'm sort of... My sense is that this woman isn't evil, but I guess a friendly-seeming woman in this environment, fairy tales would warn us against her. So I'd like to use my divine sense, opening my senses to notice any strong good or evil. The presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor. Powerful good rings like heavenly music in your ears. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces. Until the end of your next turn, so not in turns, you know the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead within 60 feet of you. You know the type, blah, 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 blah. You can also detect the presence of any place or object that's been consecrated or desecrated.
You can sense no celestial, no undead, no fiend, and you can also sense that there is no evil. The only thing you can sense in the near vicinity, aside from your travelling companions, is neutral. So to give you an insight, she is a chaotic, neutral character.
Tock has been quietly contemplating the fortune that's been given to him, but hearing his companions, he's going to walk over, open the door, and step outside, trying to observe from the direction we came in, the Ravager. I'm really hoping that a kilometre-long airship is going to be quite obvious to spot from the ground.
It is, even now that it's dark, you look up into the sky and you can see some of the lights on the Ravager. It is in the same position that it was before, hovering over the landscape that you're in.
Okay, Tick is going to climb out of the bag, stand by at the outside of the door, keep watch, specifically noting to see if the Ravager moves, and then he's to alert us. Tock will return into the others and tell them, Vander, Augustus, the Ravager airship has not followed to our location. It may be safe to rest.
Welcome news, Tock.
Is it possible, gentlemen, that it hasn't moved because it sent its forces down onto the ground, given that they may suppose we tumbled from the window?
That is possible, Augustus.
Sorry, madam, I didn't get your name.
My name is Madame Vastra, and if you'll excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear your little problem. You are being chased by someone? Or something?
Well, I fear we may have put you in danger by arriving at your door.
It would take more than a few people chasing you to put me in any sort of danger. But if you are concerned... And she steps to the doorway and waves her hands, but without speaking creates a huge fog cloud which blasts and swirls out and surrounds the property that you're on. There. It is unlikely anyone is able to pierce that.
Very well, madam. I should warn you that those pursuing us are themselves extremely powerful. More powerful than I had realized. But we have already come here. Our tracks will already lead here, whatever we do tonight. So if you are relaxed, then we shall avail ourselves of your kind offer of rest.
Tracks, you say? That may be a problem. And she steps out, and you see her eyes roll into the back of her head as she raises her hands up, and through the powdery snow, you suddenly see skeletal hands bursting out and gripping into the snow as skeletons rise out. Having raised 6 skeletons, she then sends them off out in different directions. There we are. That should confuse things. Muddy the track, so to speak.
Augustus just turns really slowly to look at her with his eyes slightly wide.
Everything all right, dear?
Yes. I only raise a quizzical eyebrow at the skeletons that just sprung from your garden and marched away into the misty forest.
Oh, I see. Yes, I suppose it must be a shock to those who are not attuned to the weave of the arcane. Your automaton friend is obviously the only one of the party attuned to such things. Do not be concerned, though. Magic is real, and those of us with a keen understanding, we can perform incredible feats. They can be achieved with simple incantations and spells, but honestly, it is nothing for you to worry about.
Wonderful. Is there any more pie?
Of course, of course.
And Augustus shoves what's just happened from his mind and retreats to his nice armchair by the fire to get pie, because he's definitely not going outside now.
Well, given recent events,
Vander says, rising from his chair,
I'm sure, madam, you won't begrudge me a little trickery of my own.
and Vander begins to draw a few symbols on the ground around him.
Nothing harmful, just reviving an old friend.
And he begins the incantation to bring back Bellerophon.
No need to worry at all. I do not wish to interfere, and I know that when kindness is offered, sometimes the best further kindness would be a scarcity. I shall spend the evening on my wagon. It will give you the freedom to relax as you wish. Please, eat, drink as much as you like. If the cards are right, you're going to need some rest and relaxation before the coming events. So I shall bid you a good evening.
Thank you, madam.
You are generous.
And she closes the door behind her.
Okay. Well, Augustus finds the biggest, comfiest looking armchair and settles down by the fire for a good snooze.
He is joined shortly after by Bellerophon.
Or maybe summon Jenny.
Who gives him a single lick before returning to Vander. There you go.
A most intriguing lady.
Says Vander, looking out of the window towards the cart.
What do you make of her, Vander?
I think as you do, Augustus. I don't believe her magic is used for dark doings as such. I believe she simply has access to dark powers. We all dabble from time to time, I'm sure you understand.
No, Vander, as ever I do not, but I bid you good evening.
The spell to raise the dead is powerful, Vander, is it not?
Most powerful. And to raise 6 individuals capable of independent movement for distance, even more so. Well, one final duty to perform.
And Vander scans the cabin for anything that might be an exotic cheroot.
Give me an investigation check.
I feel like I'm in a good place for this, right?
I mean, there were definitely hanging dried herbs on the outside of the cabin.
26. Amazing.
Saving your big rolls for the biggest occasions.
Yeah.
As you rummage around in this haphazard log cabin with just random toot everywhere, you open the drawer of a very small dresser, and inside you find a hempen sack full of dried pipeweed leaf, which you can use to roll exotic cheroots.
Vander rolls the most extravagant cheroot any of the party have ever seen and begins to smoke whilst leaning back in his armchair by the fire. As he does this and looking in near total serenity, he pulls again the book from his robes and begins perusing.
So Tick is going to keep watch all night. Tock doesn't have to sleep. He is also going to take out a book. Be the first book of the Sevicon, the Journal of Elias the Wanderer. And Tock is hoping he can probably finish it in a night.
I would think so.
Okay, that's what he intends to do.
Okay, so you guys, with the exception of Tock and Tick, get a good night's rest. You awake in the morning, and it's still quite gloomy outside. And actually, as you look out the window, you can see that the fog that was created is still there, very dense fog that keeps the kind of darkness of the area. And the wagon is gone, and with it, Madame Vastra.
So Tock gives Tick a bit of a stern look, considering he was on watch. Both of them were awake and neither of them heard it. She must have employed magic, I would imagine. Which way do the tracks lead?
The tracks lead in a northeasterly direction.
Vander, it appears that the witch Vastra has left for Frost Hollow, the human city.
Ah, yes, very astute, Tock.
Vander says, looking at the rather obvious tracks leading directly northeast.
We could use them for cover.
Ah, well, that is actually astute. Allow me to gather my things.
Vander is going to take what's left of the cheroot accoutrement.
I thought he might.
Augustus is going to take what's left of the pie. Which isn't very much, because he had to wake up for snacksies during the night.
So you take the one remaining fifth of pie that is left.
Tock will pack his Vander on his shoulders and will set off walking in the sort of ruts left by the wheels of the cart.
Who's next up for the random encounter dice roll?
I haven't screwed it up for a while.
Excellent.
Don't do it.
Vander, roll a d20, please.
It's okay, he just rolled a 20, so he's never going to roll it.
19.
Okay. Sorry, poke face. You guys travel for the full 8 hours through thick snow and obscuring mist. Even during the height of the day, it's difficult to see things. Towards the end of the day, through the dense trees, around 120 feet away from you, Vander, you suddenly see a figure, hooded in black and stood perfectly still. The figure is facing you. The sound of the wind dies away as you look back.
Vander sends a mental message to the rest of the party.
Stranger ahead.
Vander returns the stare. Is there anything I can Is there any investigation I can do here, or is it have I got everything?
You can give me a perception check or an investigation check.
I'll go investigation.
Or any check, really. Your call.
Well, whilst Vander does that, Tock is going to lift Vander off his shoulders and place him lightly on the ground next to him.
Which turned out to be the perfect vantage point because I just rolled at 25.
The figure you're looking at is not moving at all. It is completely unnatural, almost like this is a vision of a figure rather than an actual corporeal being in front of you. As you stare closely into it, desperately trying to see under the hood, there is a small slither of pale skin around the chin. There is a sudden, strong gust of wind again, and the figure bursts into smoke and disappears.
Strange woods indeed.
What was that, Vander?
An apparition of sorts, though I wouldn't imagine it was random. We must keep our eyes about us, boys. Something lurks beyond the trees.
Does it mean we're being watched? Did that thing see us?
Very probably. And I don't imagine it's disappeared for good. We must proceed, but with caution.
Very well, Vander. And Augustus trudges onwards.
Tock will lift Vander on his shoulders again. And Vander, you can hear Tock, speaking quietly to himself and says, the enemy, a ghost, will help us find it. Like he's talking to himself rather than talking to you.
Vander doesn't return with any words, but he nods to himself, and in his head his magical eye roves like a lighthouse.
Nice. Give me another perception check, please, Vander.
14.
With the day coming to a close, you find a rocky outcrop in amongst the forest. There is a perfectly sheltered area where you could make camp for the evening.
We have few options, boys, and night draws in. I suggest we use this location to bed down for the evening.
Can we risk a fire, Vander?
A small fire may be acceptable, though we must stay on watch in order to extinguish the flames should any airships be found in the skies.
Would smoke from a fire go above this fog? Tock knows an awful lot about nature, how high the fog's going to be.
You're fairly confident that smoke would not be distinguishable from the fog that is currently encasing the area. So you could set a fire without too much worry.
Tock will let the others know that he finds that suggestion to be acceptable.
So Augustus gathers some small sticks and a few bigger logs and sets about with his tinderbox, getting the fire lit.
Tock and Tick will help him because they might as well.
And Vander sits down by the growing fire and again takes out the book.
Tock, can I have a nature check, please?
That'll be a 19.
As you are helping Augustus to prepare for the campfire, the rocky overhang in the outcrop where you are is sheltered from the snow, so that the floor itself is dry and stony. At the point where the stone meets the dirt, which is currently underneath the snow, you notice that there is a kind of strange black membrane around the edge. As you move some snow out of the way, you can see what look like almost veins of black ichor which are spreading out into the forest.
Does it look like this is the source that they're spreading out from, or is this like a node of some kind?
This looks like the edge of it, so it looks like it's coming from somewhere within the forest.
Okay, Tock's going to investigate a little bit and try and trace some of these veins, see how many of them there are in so he'll clear a little trench in the snow, maybe 10 feet in a circle around the almost like he's making a magical protection circle for the party, but actually he's done.
Okay, that'll take a bit of time there, Tock. Vander and Augustus, what are you up to?
Vander sits by the fire and again takes out the book and begins to read.
Vander, what do you expect to find in that book? Why are you so interested in it?
The book tells of many things, Augustus. My future, for one. Though these runes, curse them, I struggle to decipher their meaning.
How could a book tell your future?
I imagine it was one of the gifts of the Rojan long past. They speak of what is to come, but I cannot tell the exact meaning of some of the words.
What of the fortune teller, Vander? Did she not give you better information? She spoke in the common tongue.
Drivel, Augustus, do not pay too much mind to fortune tellers, though I have to say her cheroot was most fine.
But pay heed to fortune-telling books.
Yes. In books lies power, Augustus. I am not allured by those who conjure cheap tricks, but I am enamored to some of the abilities possessed by the Rojan. Not that I wish to speak ill of the quite talented madam we met last night, but when it comes to matters of the future, few possess the gift.
Forgive me, Vander, but if the Rojan saw the future, why did they not prevent their own destruction?
Hubris, Augustus. Or, of course, I may not know the full story yet. Benny's part is clear enough, though.
And what is that, Vander, other than to be left behind by our group's rash decisions?
I'm afraid, Augustus, I believe you misunderstand the situation. Benny was not left behind, by my readings at least. We were.
Meaning what, Vander? Where's he gone?
Benny is the one, Augustus. It is his destiny that matters most. We may all have our part to play, but the writings are clear. Benny is the story.
What do the writings say about him, Vander? Everyone seems terribly interested in Benny. He seems a rather drab individual to me.
I agree, a wholly unsatisfying character, but, of course, it is not the man he is now that is of interest, but the Rojan he is to become, if indeed the book is to be believed. That is indeed what is inscribed on the page I left for Benny.
What of his own will, Vander? We spoke of free will and choices back in the Citadel.
Oh,
It seems to me that Benny's choice is not to be the great hero that you imagine him.
life is full of choices, Augustus, and there being a destiny to things does not take those choices away. But the ultimate result, the few events, the touchstones in our past and in our future, these are the events that can truly be seen, not the bits around them.
Vander makes a rather unpleasant mouth gesture that's kind of grim and horrid.
Augustus cringes. And so, Vander, forgive me for never understanding really anything that's going on, but do you see some happy future in any of this? It all seems rather grim. Are there clearer skies ahead for ourselves in this world?
You seek happiness, Augustus?
Not for me, Vander. I would seek a better future for the people who live in these lands.
I often find happiness in the here and now. The little things, the little delights of each day. The wider happinesses are difficult to pursue.
And yet you gaze into a book that purports to tell you the future.
Yes, but happiness was never my goal.
What is your goal then, Vander? Lay your plan out more clearly for me.
I, Augustus, am still the blade itself, and I have a destiny to fulfill. What that destiny is the question. I seek adventure, and I believe my story has some time yet to run. That is why I study the book.
Very well, Vander. I shall stoke this fire, or our stories may all end tonight.
Quite possibly.
And Vander returns to the book.
While you two talk by the campfire, Tock, you have finished making the circle out of the snow, and you find that the strange black ichor veins are spreading in all directions. They cover almost the entirety of the forest floor. Can I have either an investigation or a nature check, please?
Tock will guide himself because he thinks that this black echo may be related to the ghostly figure we saw dressed in black.
Damn.
It's a 15.
Studying these strange tendril-like veins, you can tell that this is one living organism. It is not an extended mycelial network. This is a form of corruption turned physical. Something is corrupting from within the forest or within this region, and it is spreading in all directions. One organism, one piece of corruption, evil.
Can Tock try and get a sense of where the routes are heading towards, like the center? Tock's going to go a little way from the camp, find one of the routes, dig up a piece of it to study.
You head on out to cut yourself a piece of it. Can I have a Constitution saving throw, please?
A 25?
Nice. As you cut a section of the vein-like creature out, black ichor spurts in all directions. It covers you entirely and the nearby area. All of the small green shoots that have appeared on your body are immediately wither to nothing, but you don't take any actual damage.
Does this seem like disease?
It is like an arcane corruption.
Okay, well, at least he's got a large sample. He'll clean himself off, and we'll take this back to try and do some experimenting on.
Vander and Augustus, you've been watching quietly as Tock wanders off from the camp and comes back with a big slice of something black and oozing.
What is that, Tock? Tell me it's not our dinner. I can't handle any more slugs.
It is not a slug, Augustus. I would not recommend consuming it. This area, the forest, there is a creeping corruption. The roots of it spread under your... He gestures down to where you don't have a mattress, obviously underneath you, under your blanket.
Should we get off the floor? Should we leave this area?
Unknown. I will investigate further. This is a sample. And so Tock is going to take some sort of alchemist glassware and things out of his bag of holding, and he's going to start setting up a little experimental lab in the corner out of the wind. It probably smells awful, I imagine, if you heat the stuff up and mix it with various acids and things.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so anyway, good luck sleeping. Okay, so Tick will keep watch. Tock will carry on with his experiments. You guys can sleep.
Vander is going to continue to read the book, but he seems to be getting somewhere now. He's reading more intensely, and he's making patterns in the snow beside him.
And Augustus is kind of rolling back and forth, lying on cold stones, imagining that he can feel whatever corruption Tock has discovered kind of creeping underneath him. Every time he starts to fall asleep, he feels that kind of darkness welling up in his dreams. And eventually he sits up and moves closer to the fire. And just to distract himself as much as anything, he says, "Vander, what are you drawing in the snow? Would you like a piece of paper?"
Vander is no longer drawing, but his hands are gripping the book intensely.
Is everything all right, Vander?
Vander slowly gets to his feet, still gripping the book. No.
What do you mean, Vander? Enemies? And Augustus begins to draw his rapier.
No, you may put away your blade, Augustus. I've been a fool.
And he turns back to the fire.
Such a fool.
And he drops the book into the flames.
Augustus lurches as if to grab it out, but then thinks this future of the Rojan book is better off burned, and just looks first at the flames kind of taking hold of the book, and then up at Vander to try and discern what his expression is on this piece of wanton book destruction.
It turns out, Augustus, that my folly was as it was when I was Highmore. Hubris. Twice fooled. Twice!
How do you mean, Vander? You misunderstood what the book told you? The book was a fraud, a fake of some kind?
Did I ever speak of when the Rojan first came to me?
Not to me, Vander. I must admit I've been reluctant to question you on your past. There are clearly some dark days in that story.
Well, Augustus, you are a fine swordsman. But in my hands, a sword was death. To face me was to give up your life. I thought that the name the blade itself was given to me because of the quality of my swordsmanship. And I thought the Rojan allowed me to keep the name because it was the apt name for the abilities that made me so special. I never questioned in my hubris why they might choose to call me such a thing. It was obvious. I was the best there ever was. But as ever, it turns out the Rojan tricked me even then. What the book makes clear, Augustus, is that I am the blade itself. but it means something different to what I always imagined. I am merely the blade. The torture I endured was the tempering of the steel. The life I've led allowed the events to craft me into what I am now. A weapon. And so when I say I have a great destiny, the book makes clear that my destiny is to simply be that weapon and perish when my task is done. I mean, Augustus, that I am due to die.
A weapon for whose hand, Vander?
If I have read the signs correctly, Benny's.
And Augustus lets a long pause fall as the book continues to crackle in the fire. Vander, you and Benny sometimes have cross words, but I do not believe he would ever do you harm. Not on purpose.
I don't believe that Benny means me harm. But it is another thing to find that you are merely an element to another's greater story. Whatever it is that Benny must do, I am a piece of that. But I am merely the weapon, and when my task is complete, my time here is over.
Well, Vander, I would not counsel you to ignore this, but you yourself have spoken of the Rojan's hubris. Maybe they have also overreached or misunderstood here. Why should your life be thrown down for Benny's?
I do not know yet. But it is a hard thing to read.
I'm sure it is, Vander. I'm sorry for you. But for my part, I will do what I can to stop this future from coming to pass.
I have thought much of the Red Dragon in these past nights. And what you did in that cave.
I did only what I had to do, Vander. It was going to burn us all. I saw a way to slow it down. It was not some great destiny. It was just a choice, made at the time.
Two possibilities, Augustus. Either it is the next step in the wider tapestry woven by the Rojan years ago, and your saving me was merely the required act to keep the blade sharp enough for Benny's use. Or you risked your life for a friend. And that, I confess, has moved me.
I certainly prefer the latter tale, Vander. All this destiny unnerves me. It makes me worry about what you might do, believing these stories.
Whatever it is, Augustus, you can rely that I will go down fighting.
That is a story I certainly believe, Vander.
If my destiny is to be merely the blade, then I'm going to kill most grotesquely. But it is a solve to me to know that you would risk your life to save one such as myself. That is not something I expected ever to witness.
I thank you for your words, Vander, but I think in these weeks, since we've been together, months or years, I can't tell anymore, we've all risked our lives for each other. I think we should continue to do so. And perhaps when the chance to read ahead in our story comes along, we should burn the book. Though in ordinary circumstances, to do so would be a crime.
Indeed, Augustus. Well, at least for the time being, and while Benny is far away, I am, so to speak, safe. But when we meet again, I suggest you make sure there is nothing left unsaid between us.
Thank you, Vander. I shall.
Well, enough revelations for one evening,
Vander says, trying to cobble himself together.
I suggest we get some restful shut-eye in this cursed forest.
Well, Vander, one consolation of knowing that you must die a glorious and inevitable death sometime in the far future is that you cannot die a freezing and horrible one this evening. So let us hope the protection of the fates that you apparently enjoy also extends to me in this accursed, freezing, befouled, ghost-infested forest.
Quite
Of ice.
so. Quite so, Augustus. Poisonous bloodsuckers such as ourselves can't go out in such a boring fashion. So, destiny awaits. And we will see what tomorrow brings.
And Augustus raises a little hip flask that's got almost nothing left in it and says, "To refusing to die a boring death." Swigs it and passes it to Vander.
Vander dutifully swigs his share and passes it back.
I will stay up and smoke this rather fine cheroot. I have more thinking to do.
Very well, Vander. I shall stay up due to the incredible discomfort of our camping arrangements.
Then I bid you a false good night, friend.
Good night, Vander.
And we will end it there.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Alex Morrison as Augustus Zeno, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, and Harry King as Tock, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support: Sepulchre Stennett, Marshall 001, Marky B, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sekora, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, SJ Phionics, Richard Ungermus, Rabbi Camel, Team #Stay Toxic, Path Pursuit, Harris Pakar, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Mama Strange, Queenie, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
A wizard sandwich, by the way. Whole wheat bread, Italian salami, zucchini, avocado, Roman lettuce, Dijon mustard.
Oh,
These all place names. Stop it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad.
I might allow Dijon mustard because I kind of feel like that's a specific type of mustard.
Like if you say Dijon, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
West Italian salami. I mean, that's, I don't know.
Kind of a tautology, isn't it?
James Cameron sucks as well.
James Cameron does not suck. He's one of the greatest living directors.
Troll accounts? I
Sounds
don't know.
like a bit of a hater.
Yeah, I just mute and move on now.
Gonna engage so hard with it.
Don't engage. You know how mushrooms kind of spread out in a huge, it's very similar to that. Only this is not.
Not an extended mycelial network. It's something more like a slime mold.
I'm gonna cut all of that out. It is not an extended mycelial network.
You douche.
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our Linktree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.